gonna start with the introductions and the before starting the webinar. So aloha and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today to our webinar, Organic Swine Production. We're gonna be highlighting animal welfare behavior and alternative production systems. Just a reminder, if this webinar is recorded, and my name is Junior Bustamante with the University of Hawaii Cooperative Extension, and I will be one of your moderators today, along with my colleague, Melanie Yoshiro, our associate agent in Hawaii Island. We're very happy to have you here and appreciate you taking the time to join us. This webinar is going to be from an hour presentation from 10 to 11 around the time and 30 minutes Q&A. And just a few housekeeping notes before we begin. Please make sure your microphone is muted during the presentation. And if you have any questions at any point, feel free to type them and drop it in the Q&A chat. Melly will be monitoring the chat and will be sharing questions with our speaker following the presentation. During the presentation, we're going to be sharing you guys a link with the demographics and the program evaluation, just to assist with our meeting federal reporting requirements and also help us with you guys' feedback that improves the continue offering relevant livestock extension programs to our communities in Hawaii. With no more introduction, we're thrilled to welcome today's speaker, Dr. Yuzhi Li from the University of Minnesota. Dr. Li is a professor in the Department of Animal Science and internationally recognized expert in swine behavior, animal welfare, and alternative production systems. Mahalo again for joining us today, and I'll hand it over to Dr. Li to begin the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the introduction, and we're happy to be here, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So we're going to talk about organic pig production and animal welfare. So just go through the kind of outline we're going to talk today. So at the very beginning, we're going to talk about organic swine production. Basically give you some idea about, what the status of organic pig production in the US and what the organic standards, basically what make pigs organic pigs. And then I'm going to share some information about a commercial alternative and organic pig production because, we probably talk about what's the difference between organic versus alternative. But since we do not have a lot of organic pig producers and a lot of practice in organic actually is also practiced by alternative pig production producers. So that's why I'm going to talk about, some commercial production versus, universities production. And finally, we are going to talk about some research we did at University of Minnesota in the organic alternative swine production area. So, first of all, give you a kind of idea what organic pig production, the scale in the US looks like. Sorry, I think. So USDA does a survey, certified organic agricultural survey every 3 years. So I listed the last 3 surveys started from 2016. So each year I say 2016, that's the total commodity sale. That's the total organic commodity sales. So in 2016, the total organic commodity sale is 7.6 billion. And then in 2019, it's about almost 10 billion. And in 2021, it's 11 billion. So you can see the total organic commodity sale increase, kind of constantly. And the pie underneath basically represent the market share for crops in the yellow, milk and eggs in green, and meat, basically livestock and poultry, in red. So among the total sale, over 50% is farm crops. So all the crops, fruits, vegetables, all the crops not animal related. and about 30, 25 to 30% is milk and eggs. So the meat part is a smaller share, but it keeps increasing from 16 to 21. So it's about 15 to 20% of the total organic share. Um, let's go to the next. Okay. So this slide just shows you the organic pigs only. So I put a lot of data in this one slide. So the first cluster is organic pig farms in tens. So basically, this is across the country, and this is a certified organic pig farms. So some producers, if they produce organic pigs, but they are not certified, they are not included here. So that's why you see we do not have a lot of organic pig farm, certified pig farms in the database. So in also the different colors represent different years of survey. So the blue means 2016, the orange means 2019, the green means 2021. So in you know basically 2016, 2019, we have 150 organic pig farms. Not many, only 100. Think about that. And in 2021, we only have 100 organic pig farms across the entire country. And the second cluster of data represent the pig inventory, which means how many pigs on the ground, organic pigs. They are all organic here. So in 20, so basically it's kind of consistent, kind of flat. We have about 20, so this is in 1,000. So we have about 20,000 organic pigs on the ground. And this cluster of data represent how many organic pigs we sold in a year. So again, we sold something even less than 20,000 in 2016, but we sold 25,000 in 2019 and 2020. So I think this tells you we don't have a lot of organic pigs, and we did not sell many as well. And the last cluster is the revenue. So basically, we are at the 8 million, not quite $8 million in total. So if you use the total number, total revenue divided by the number of pigs sold, basically you can see each pig probably, we sold for kind of $380, not $400 even. So that's is the data at the national level. And again, this is certified organic. So, and another thing is if you use the total number of pigs sold divided by the total number of organic farms, you can tell we probably each farm on average produce about 250 pigs. So basically it says a small scale. So this slide just show you where the organic pigs were produced in the country. So I listed 6 states that produce the most organic pigs. So you can imagine Iowa is always the first, but actually they were not the first in 2016. So the color represent the same thing as the previous slide. So in 2016, actually, Wisconsin produced the most organic pigs because they have organic prairie, a big organic product, milk, eggs, and also meat called organic prairie. They sell organic meat in Wisconsin, so they had a lot of organic pig producers there. But that organization is kind of reducing their fines demand. So that's probably why, in recent years, there's a big drop in Wisconsin. But on the other hand, Iowa has more organic pig producers. So the others, Pennsylvania, California, Michigan, and Minnesota. So we do not produce a lot, about 1,000 pigs in a year. among those among those states, actually, I should say, all we visited organic farms in 5 states except California. So we kind of have an idea what the organic pig production looks like in each state. I'm going to show you some pictures later. So uh, this slide basically shows you what make organic pigs organic. So what's the difference if between organic pigs, alternative pigs, or even pasture pigs? So basically, if you raise pigs according to the National Organic Program standard from the third trimester of pregnancy, you can produce your pigs will be organic pigs. So the third trimester basically is 38 days before fairing. Those cells, breeding cells, do not have to be organic, but you need breeding cells produce organic pigs, and those cells has to meet organic standard from the third trimester, 38 days before fairing. So here's kind of brief version of the organic standard for pig production. So first of all, no confinement throughout uh, gestation, lactation, and all the way to market. And the second thing is pigs have to be on bedded floor all the time. They need to have a bedding. And they are also required to access outdoors. So basically, it's kind of a fresh air, direct sunshine, and they usually uh, wean at 6 weeks of age. So this is it can vary from certifiers. So basically, you produce organic pigs, you need a certifier to inspect your facility every year. And, it could be different, but basically, weaning age is higher than conventional production. So this is our certifier's requirement. Um, Also, in terms of animal welfare, there's no tail docking, uh, no antibiotics throughout, and no synthetic dewormers. And finally, organic feed and bedding. So if you produce a pig, use all the standard, kind of practice listed here, but your pigs are not fed organic feed and bedding, your pigs are not organic. Another thing is if your pigs are sick and then you use antibiotics just once, your pig is not organic anymore. So these standards must be met from the third trimester onto market. So at the University of Minnesota in Morris, here we have a research outreach center in Morris, where I'm located. We have a certified organic swine facility, and this is the only certified organic swine facility in land-grant universities across the country. I'm going to show you some pictures of what the certified organic swine facility looks like here in Morris. So basically, our gestating cells are housed here. You can see they're on bedded floors, a lot of space, and with individual feeding stall. These stalls are only for feeding to control their individual feed intake. And here's the water fountain. So no confinement bedded floors, and the bedding is organic. And actually, there's outdoor access, they can get out. So whole barn is not considered outdoor access. They have to go out. So we have a kind of backyard they can come out. And okay, here we go. Okay, so this is the lactation. We have this group lactation barn basically. So cells are moved into this barn before farrowing, and then they farrow in the little box. The box is open, so cells come out to eat and they drink in the back, this area. And then they have communal area for dunking. but their piglets are kept in the pen for the first 10 days. And 10 days later, this is, see the pen. Uh, and one problem in this system, and not in our system probably even more challenging, is piglet mortality. So this problem is, for all the alternative or loose furring system because cells are not confined. And it's good for cell behavior and welfare, freedom of movement, and nursing, communicating with piglets. But, you know, they also crash on piglets, resulting in a high piglet mortality. And in our system, the pen is open and other cells can come to visit. And if the other cells did not come in, it's maybe okay. But in case the other cells come in, that will be an even bigger problem in terms of piglet mortality. So here's a picture about outdoor access. We have a kind of doggy door here, and then cells can come out anytime as they wish, and the piglets can come out as well. So in our system, we wean the pigs at 6 weeks of age by removing the cells from the barn, from the furring barn. So actually at 10 weeks of age, we move the pen out and cell and the piglets are in this large room, large barn. So the piglets continue in the same barn and they eat from the cell feeder, but they were provided with nursery diet. So when they are about 8, 9 weeks of age, we move them into this finishing hoop barn. Again, they are bedded with organic straw, and you can tell they have tails. They are not tail docked, and they stay here until they reach market weight at about 280 pounds. Okay. And this is, the pig, how the pigs look like before marketing. And in Minnesota, it snows, it's very cold, but we do not have any heating facility in the whole barn. So pigs generate a lot of heat. And another thing, we close the shed, the side of the barn and put a lot of bedding. So basically, winter is not a problem for us. So why produce organic pigs? I mean, if you do not produce organic pigs, you produce alternative pigs or niche from niche market, it probably similar thing. But for organic pork, most people believe is better in terms of food safety because pigs are never fed, never treated with any antibiotics, and they are fed organic feed and the bedding, and then organic feed, which means they are not um, for the crop production part. You know, fertilizer, herbicides were never used. So they feel and no GMO as well. So they feel those feed and bedding are safer, no residues, no bad things. And in terms of animal welfare, um, there's no tail docking I talk about, that's another research area I'm doing here. So if you do not dock tails in confinement barn, you see a lot of tail biting, but we never see tail biting in alternative or confinement barn. So another thing is bedded barn, provide enrichment and pigs can play with and feed their natural behavior needs. And no confinement, that's probably a big thing. You probably all know California Proper 12, require no confinement, no gestation stalls for gestating sows. But for organic production, it's not only gestation but also furring. No confinement at all. They have to be, in the loose pen, just like the picture I showed you. So a lot of times, organic alternative pig production provide a lot of space. You see the pictures and fresh air because low density and it's always open facility. So uh, that provide a fresh air. And another thing is business opportunity. So basically, farmers can get premiums. In organic pig production, this is the number from, Midwest. Basically, uh, every each pound of carcass weight, this is honey weight. So each pound of honey weight is 1.8, $1.80. So this number is kind of 3, 4 years ago, but it's still kind of at that range here. I mean, this is the data from Midwest, I should say. So for conventional production, it's about 80 cents. So you see the difference is usually 2, 3 times higher. It's not quite three. And then organic pig farmers and alternative pig farmers as well. They're usually small scale family farms and they work on their own farms and they connected with the local community, provide local food, and also support organic crop production because, uh, pigs need to be fed and bedded with organic ingredients. So all those organic crop production also benefit the environment and, in terms of pesticide, of herbicides. So I'm going to show you some organic alternative pig farms we visited over the years. Um, so I say it's organic and alternative because some farms when we visited they were organic. Later they are not anymore. So really depending on you know whether whether you have market, whether you can make it. I said organic feed and bedding is very expensive, and if you couldn't keep the balance, keep profit, you can't do it. So this farm basically need to buy feed and bedding because they do not have land. And the production is not very stable, I should say, because when everything is cheap, they can afford it. When it's heavier, they can also. This is an issue for such kind of farmers if they do not have feed land to support their own feed bedding supplies. And this farm, on the other hand, is totally opposite. They have organic farmland to produce organic weed for human consumption. And then they use the part of the weed they produce, which do not meet human consumption of human consumption grade to feed their pigs. And then those weed, of course, produce straw, so they could use the straw produced on the farm as well. So this farm has been doing very well. And this farm, the same thing. This farm actually, when we visited, they produce organic pigs, and later they don't. So this can be considered a pasture. They put their pigs on pasture during growing finishing period. And you can see for pasture pigs, don't expect it, pigs will eat a lot of, have a lot of feed nutrition requirement from the pasture. Actually, pigs do not eat. Depends on what kind of pasture you have, but in general, you need to fully feed your pigs with complete feed, like these farmers did. But again, if you do not produce feed ingredients yourself, it's always a challenge. So that's why this farm later on they do not produce organic pigs anymore. And this farm is a organic apple orchard farm. So they produce organic apples, and they want to feed their pigs with their the wasted or the dropped apples, and that's why they produce organic pigs. But they wanted to they want their pigs get most of their nutrients from organic apples, but actually pigs are still rely on energy and need protein rich feed. So apples cannot supply too much nutrient for them. So this over the years, we see some good practice. We also see challenges. Um, and this farm is from Minnesota, and this is not organic pig production, but you can see the setting is similar to organic pig production if they have outdoor access, there's no confinement, no tail biting, bedded floor, but they do not do organic because I think first of all, uh, organic feed and bedding is too expensive. And secondly, organic has one higher standard. If any pig is sick, if they get treated, you cannot sell as organic anymore. And another thing is parasites. You cannot deworm them with a synthetic, most powerful dewormers. And so organic limit their capability, so they do not. Plus, they probably do not have they have their own market. They do direct market, so and their customers do not require organic. They trust them. And this farm is in Iowa, and they produce organic pigs, and they sell their product to Organic Prairie in Wisconsin. And this farm is fair to finish. Basically, those pigs are farrowed on the farm, and piglet mortality is an issue. I'm going to talk about this later again. Uh, Actually, this farm is in North Carolina. We just visited last fall, and this is not organic farm at all. So we call this is an alternative to confinement production. And they are most of them are Berkshire, you can tell. And this farm just bought those feeder pigs and feed them out on the farm. And you probably can tell, parasites can be an issue, but because they're not organic pigs and they can treat with synthetic dewormers. But for them, they have to buy feeder pigs, and buy feeder pigs are expensive. They want to farrow their own pigs. But on the other hand, if you farrow your own pig in this alternative system, pig mortality is high as well. And here's another farm in North Carolina, and they produce a pure Berkshire pigs. And this is only a farrowing farm, so they sell feeder pigs at like 60 pounds. And pig mortality definitely is a problem, but they still kind of make money because they sell like 150, they sell feeder pigs for 150. So, you know, let's say if a sow win 10 pigs versus 9 pigs, you get 150 more. And basically you kind of the cost probably is similar, not very much different. So I show the Fahrenheit, and they have different kind of Fahrenheit, but regardless if pig mortality is a problem, but if you can address pig mortality problem, that will help the farmers with for a profit, better profit. And this facility is the UCAT, North Carolina Agricultural Technology University, and they have a Berkshire as well, and they have cells in the on the campus, and they also have a farrowing hut on the pasture, but they don't use it simply because mortality is too high; they couldn't handle it. So, kind of summarize the major challenges in organic pig production. First of all, pig mortality is an issue. As I said, since sows are not confined during farrowing and lactation, and they crash on piglets. So I'm going to show you some data about that we collected here in Morris. And the second thing is parasites. So for organic, it's even harder because we cannot use synthetic powerful dewormers. And the last one for organic farmers, feed and bedding cost is the issue. So if you do not think about organic pig production, I think pig mortality, breeding mortality is the issue, you will have. Parasites, you have more tools to deal with, but you probably don't have to worry too much about feed ingredients, but you still need to provide bedding. That's an extra expense. So we're going to talk about these three things because that's the research area we have been focusing on over the last several years. So the peak mortality data is WCRC, which is by Central Research Area Center, University of Minnesota in Morris, where I'm located. So our site-specific data. And which means we collected data in this system. If you have individual pen, your mortality may be a little bit better, but yeah, you never know. So I just want to emphasize this is a site specific, but in general, it's for loose fairing or pen fairing. Sorry. So the first thing we noticed, and these data we collected over 10 years. And each year we farrow about 100 pigs. We farrow 5 groups, and each group we farrow about 20 pigs. So this is a quite kind of big data set, I should say. So we are kind of confident to say this is true kind of thing. So uh, seasonal effect. Seasonal effect basically tells us the thermal environment because our farrowing barn is heated, but we do not have a cooling system. And with bedding, you can see the summer heat stress is a big thing for us. So in winter and spring, since we can control the thermal environment, we see peak mortality at about 20%. And similar in winter and the fall, but during the summer, the average is 28. And we definitely see, 30, even higher than 30% during certain summers. So this is, the average of 10 years, 10 summers or 10 winters or whatever. So this shows the parity effect. Farmers usually try to keep their sows for longer, as long as possible, but actually, especially in alternative organic production, mothering ability is very important. And as cells get older, you know, it's not really they are not learning, but maybe they are not capable to take care of their piglets. So this data set show us that younger cells perform better. So the very top line is a live born piglets born alive. So you can see 31 all the way to 37 plus. This is kind of a little bit old data. So start from average born alive, 12 and a half all the way to 10 and point 8. So as parity increase, they gave fewer piglets. They farrow fewer piglets. And the second line is piglets weaned. So basically, this is the piglets you send to the door. And the younger pigs, our younger pigs, can wean about 10 pigs per liter. But older pigs, they only wean 8, 7. So the blue line means that the number of pigs died. You see, we lost 2.5 all the way to 4 per liter. And the dark blue is the stillbirth, so which means a pig is dead during fairing. And this basically similar data just put in a different way, pig mortality, which means the percentage of pigs died as the total pig, the number of pigs died at the percentage of total born alive. And then the pig mortality at younger age is below 20%. When it's going to an older parity, it's up to 30. So I would like to see, somewhere at least below 25. This data show the distribution of total piglets mortality. So if you consider whatever four pigs or two pigs died in the litter as a total, and this tells the percent of that total. So basically, during the first day, 32% of the total piglets died occurred. And then during the second day, it's about 13%, but overall, the first 3 days, you see more than 50% of the total died occurred during the first 3 days. So these are the period, farmers need to watch the sows closely to reduce pig mortality. Some farmers they attend farrowing, but at least the beginning of the farrowing need to be pay attention to. So put it together, kind of in organic and alternatives as well, as long as you use the open pen farrowing, you expect your mortality, pig mortality will be higher than conventional. Because for conventional production, you probably see pig mortality is below 10 even, below 10%. But for alternative, you see 20 to even 30. In our case, on average, 20 to 28. But we definitely see some groups higher than 30. We can see some groups sometimes can be lower than 20. So this is the average. So if you see 25% pig mortality, that's not really bad for organic alternative pig farmers. And 50% of the total mortality occurred during the first 3 days. And the parity effect. So basically, older sows, they do not perform well. So keep the sow herd younger, probably helps. And seasonal effect. This maybe not, in Minnesota, you may see it's not hot, but it is. So, but in our case, summer is a problem, but a lot of farmers in Minnesota, winter is a problem just because they do not have a heated barn, farm barn. So basically that emphasize a thermal environment. It's very important to control thermal environment, but you know it's important, but how to control it, that's a issue. That's a problem. So the second part I'm going to talk is parasite. You know, parasite issue is for, this kind of system. For organic pig production, if it's even more challenging, as I mentioned. So we did a study to uh, understand the parasite prevalence on organic pig farms. So basically, we collect fecal samples and to test how bad the parasite infection looks like on organic pig farms. So we collect a sample from three different age groups, breeders. Basically, they are gestating sows and boars, and the feeder pigs younger than 4 months, and finishing pigs 5 months above. And we tested the three, they are all internal intestine parasites. So the nodule worms, large round worms, and whip worms. So we collect data on 9 farms across 5 states, Minnesota, Iowa, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. So if you think about the 6 top organic pig production state, these are the 4. So we didn't collect sample from Michigan. We didn't collect sample from California. We couldn't, I should say. So among that 8 farms, 6 farms had sows, and this just labeled the farm number. And this, the y-axis means the percentage of infected animals. So in this case, it's breeding herd. So you can see 2 farms, we didn't find any worm, any parasite. And the other 4 we did, and most of them they had nodule worms. And the percentage varies from, one is 80%, another is so the on average, if you average it out, it's kind of still lower prevalence. We say 20% because some farms they didn't have any. So this slide tells us 2 things. One is it's possible to keep sow herd parasites free even in organic production. And second, the nodular worm is a major parasite in the sow herd. And then this is the data for finishing pigs. I didn't list for the growing pigs. It's kind of in between. It's similar to the finishing pigs. So all the farms we collected data from were infected with parasites. So the blue means a large worm, large roundworms. And see, all the farms except farm 9 were infected with the large roundworms. And another thing is when you see the farm were infected with, let's say, farm 3 with nodular worms in the south, and their finishing pigs also carry the same worms, same worm species. So, kind of summarize by age group, parasites infect prevalence, we see lower infection rate in south. Actually, as I said, you know, later we talk about this. So on average, it's 20%. So it's very, very low compared to other age group. And the nodular worm is the major worm. Finisher pigs is the problem. We see almost all pigs, all farms, their finisher pigs on all farms were infected. And on average, 80% of pigs with samples, they were infected. And large roundworms is the major species. So if we divide it by farms, we see all farms were infected. So this is organic. So maybe if we do alternative, it could be different. But for organic farms, all pigs, all farms were infected. But it varies greatly in terms of parasite species, and we see parasite-free cells in 2 farms. And then we did the research in at the Research Outreach Center here, because here we can control the condition well, so we can uh, really answer the questions we ask. So the 3 questions we ask, one is what the prevalence across age groups, because from the survey data, it confounded with management on different farms. So we can, do the collect data on one farm and to see the age group difference. And the second question we ask whether the sex of the pig matters. Some people may say, oh, male pigs get infected more often than females. So we don't know. So that's the second question, very straightforward. And the last one, how parasites influence growth performance, carcass trait, and liver quality. So we collect samples from 300 pigs, including 45 gestating sows and about 30 nursery pigs at age 6 weeks old, and 19 grower pigs at 15 weeks, and 130 fincher pigs at market weight. We collect growth performance and carcass data on 100 pigs, and then we check liver and worm at slaughter on 32 pigs. And here's the data of the parasites. Large roundworms is the only parasite we found on our farm. We didn't find the other two species. And again, we didn't find any parasites in sows and nursery pigs. But 45% of our growing pigs were infected, and 74% of our finishing pigs are infected. So compared to finisher pigs, grower pigs, kind of a lower percentage of them infected. And this data set is the fecal egg count. So how test tells us in a way relatively how badly the pig is infected by the parasite. And grower pigs shed fewer parasite eggs compared to finishing pigs. So from this data, we feel like it's at least for organic pigs, maybe because organic dewormers is not that powerful. So maybe we can try to deworm them during the growing phase when the parasite infection is not that overwhelming. Maybe the dewormer can help because once they reach the finisher period, it's too heavy. The dewormer may not work. So that's what we think at this point. The second question, whether sex matters. The answer is no. So barrels and gills about similar, 80%, one is 81%, another is 76% of were infected. So there's no difference. And the intensity, no difference either. Growth performance. So among that 103 pigs, only 22 not infected and 80 were infected. And there's no difference in the initial weight, final weight, weight at market, and average daily gain, carcass weight, dressing percentage, back thickness, nothing. So in our case, at least, parasite infection didn't affect growth performance. And liver quality and worms. We tested on 32 pigs. They all had milk spots on their liver. Some have fewer, some have more. So liver like this cannot be consumed. Worms, we found worms in 25 pigs out of 33. So 78% of the pigs carry worms. And among those 25, 24 of them had very bad liver like this and cannot be sold. So those livers lost their value. So whenever pigs carry worms, at least data, this is kind of small data set, but 96% of those pigs, they cannot, their liver cannot be sold. So kind of summary of this study, basically a large roundworm is the major parasite on our farm. And the finishing pigs is the one heavily infected. And in terms of economic loss, we didn't see anything on growth performance. Liver is the only thing, we lost. And then I think we are kind of lucky. Or the good thing about our pigs is the nursery pigs are, at least we couldn't find the parasite eggs in our nursery pigs. So usually younger pigs, they are sensitive to parasite infection, and we didn't see parasite infection in our younger pigs. So first of all, they were born to a clean cells because we didn't find parasite eggs in the cells. And another thing, we didn't find the parasite eggs shed by those pigs, maybe because they're too young, because it takes 6 weeks, 6 to 7 weeks for the egg to hatch into a mature worms and shed again. So even the nursery pigs ate some eggs at birth, they probably won't because they won't eat solid food, solid thing, anything. And then when they test their fecal samples at age 6, we could not we could not detect the eggs because they're too young. Even they are infected, it's not mature to shed eggs. So put together, from the farm visit, farm survey to our study, we feel for even organic pig production, higher standard than alternative. It's possible to maintain parasite-free sow herd. And also, if your cells are clean, your nursery pigs probably should be okay. And then, keep the barn clean uh, between groups. That's always helps. And for girl finishing pigs, and I think if you do organic, especially, you could not deworm them with synthetic dewormers. You probably have parasites. And I think our goal is, not totally eliminate parasites in girl finishing pigs, especially in organic production. It seems impossible. But as long as you can maintain your cell pigs healthy and productive, I think that's good enough. So to do that, I think to keep parasite load low and keep your pigs strong, like say good nutrition, good hygiene, and that probably should work because that's our case. But if you have to, parasite load is too high and you have to deworm, I'm thinking for organic pigs, during growing phase to deworm probably is a way to test. So I don't know whether I'm going to talk about reducing feed and bedding costs in this presentation because if you do not produce organic pigs, feed probably is not a big deal, but bedding is still an extra expense. So basically, I think our idea to help reduce feed and bedding costs is to grow your own feed and bedding. So which is a small grain. In our case, we use hybrid rye, and we grow hybrid rye and harvest the rye grain to feed pigs and the bedding to bed the pigs, and then we test the growth performance and carcass quality, and we didn't find we replaced we replaced 50% of corn in the diet, and we didn't see any different negative impact of replacing corn with rye on performance of pork quality. So this just show, no difference in performance, carcass weight, but tells us how much pigs eat in two groups because rice is kind of lower in energy compared to corn, so pigs eat a little bit more. But when you look at the p-value, it's different. But we use those data to do economic analysis. So another thing I want to point out is when we use the rice straw to bed pigs, we use few smaller amount of straw compared to a wheat straw we bought. And this just, a kind of economic analysis. And if you grow your own, replace corn with rye, you save $6 per pig. And that comes from $14 saving on feed and the bedding. So saving on feed basically is from organic corn is always expensive than rye. And saving on bedding is come from we use few less rice straw compared to wheat straw. And then this tells you about rye crop production. crop value, total crop production cost, and net crop return. So basically, if you grow organic rye, the net return is $63 per acre. It's not a lot, but it's a positive number. And then this analysis basically say, we just say we save $6 per pig by replacing 50% corn with rye, bed pigs with rye, uh, straw versus wheat straw, we save $6. But if you basically each acre rye you grown, you can feed and bed 23 pigs, depending on the yield. So on average, 23 to 25 pigs. And then that's how each acre you save that much, just times this one by 23. And then we talk about the total, the crop net return plus the pig net return, and that's the total. So this is summary about, if you grow your own rye and replace 50% corn in the diet and use the rice straw to bed your pigs, each pig you save $5 to $11. This because the rye yield is can be different over years. And then the enterprise integration means you produce rye and then you also raise pigs and put together is 130 about 270. So this is just kind of a calculation. It may not work that way, but regardless, the bottom line is if you grow your own feed and bedding, you probably save some production costs. So kind of take home message, say organic production kind of, in general, organic production keeps growing, but organic pig production is not. And to sustain organic pig production, I think alternative pig production, similar thing, reducing piglet mortality is a key. And we talk about a parity season. I think season means thermal environment, probably. Um, it's important. And parasites control, we talk about, it's different by age group and keep your sow herd clean and the young pigs kind of clean because they are vulnerable. And, you know, your parasite load is under a tolerable level for the pigs and do not impact growth performance. I think that should be the goal, especially in organic production, to eliminate parasites completely, maybe not really sick. And then, cost control. I think that's particularly for organic pig production is important. I think that's all the slides I have. And then lastly, I want to acknowledge the funding agency from USDA and our collaborators and partners, especially organic farmers, stakeholders, and our students and farm crew. And then I turn back to you, Yin. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think we can share some of the things that you already mentioned here. You know, we struggle with parasites. We have the Korean natural farming too. So we see some of these things that also the cost of feed is also another challenge for our farmers here. So, but I have a couple questions here got into my direct message. I don't know if you have any more questions, Melik, but um, one of the questions that I think it was at the beginning of the presentation is like, what exactly means organic bedding and how's the best way to prepare or just obtain organic bedding?
Sure, yes. Organic bedding basically is come from organic crop. So, and it doesn't have to be organic crops. I think they have other uh, bedding. So it has to be certified. So in our case, we use bedding if we do not do organic research. We just use conventional bedding. It's always kind of straw. We don't use for a bearing barn. We use sawdust. Uh, but for organic production, it has to be certified. So always talk to your certifiers because, in organic production, whatever you use, you have to get approved. So, but the most common one is straw from organic crops, uh, maybe other residue. So it has to be certified organic.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. Yeah, I think for our Korean natural piggeries here, what we use is mulch, but as far as I know, I don't know anyone that's certified organic. So it's just the bedding, it's just the mulch that is obtained after cutting trees or any other source. Another question that I got direct message, and I think it was at the beginning, I think is the percentage of piglet mortality in the system, and I think you mentioned it was close to 50% within the first 3 days. Am I correct?
That's the total of so first of all, the pig mortality in alternative organic is, so when we define pig mortality, which is the number of pigs died during the lactation period as a percentage, as a percent of a total born alive. So let's say if you have a sow had farrowed 10 pigs and two died, at weaning, you only wean 8 pigs. The pig mortality is 20%. So among that 20%, we say that 20%, that two pigs, if we consider that two pigs as total deaths, one died during the first 3 days. So the 50% is the total pig mortality. It's not, half liter died. It's not like you farrow 10 pigs and five died during the first 3 days. No, that's the total, that's the percent of total mortality. So it's kind of confusing probably. Is that clear?
Yeah, yeah, that's clear. Thank you. Do we have any other questions, Melly, on the chat? Or anyone wants to just have a question, live question, feel free to. Yeah, doesn't seem that we have any more questions. I guess it was crystal clear. Everything it was it was well explained. Anything else before we wrap up with our webinar here? Um, yeah, I'm curious, and I would like to do some of these testings about, the parasites prevalence, probably some information, but updated of swine herds here. But yeah, any other final comments before we wrap up, Mele or Juicy Lee?
No, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Lee, for coming to talk on this because I think there's a information is really good to have. I mean, the differences between how you define organic and sort of free range. I think that's where a lot of the questions lie, right? And what defines organic. And you answered my question because that's what I was going to ask was about the bedding because that's, I mean, it resource here for us to get different types of bedding. There's not a lot of supply for us here in the island. So I think that would be one thing for us. I mean, even between extension, just to see where the actual sources of people can get those types of materials from, right? And even the feed resources that are out there. So thank you.
Right. Actually, the bedding is also an issue here. And in the Midwest, we are kind of at the corn belt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So corn, soybeans, and we do not really produce bedding. That's why bedding is very expensive. And
Mm-hmm.
recent days, especially for organic production, they need crop rotations to control weed or plant disease. So having some small grain in the rotation helps and also help produce organic bedding or bedding in general. So in our case, we pay $150 per ton of organic bedding, and we from the slide you probably see, we spend $20 per pig for bedding. We bed our pigs well. That's why our pigs looks great, grow great. You know, if you look at the commercial production, they do not use that much bedding just because it's expensive.
Yeah.
So definitely different kind of things can be used for bedding, but for organic, you have to get certified. But for others, regardless, whatever works for you, have to think about, yeah,
Mhm.
costs and,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, we have a couple questions that just pop up in the chat. Are there any particular varieties of pigs or breeds of pigs that do better in organic production? Here we have some Berkshires like pasture finish, so we're just wondering your thoughts on that.
Yeah, actually, from organic pig production perspective, I mean, there's no really requirement about the genetics, but definitely some pigs, if you think about from pig mortality perspective, the modern uh, breed, they farrow large litters. The average born alive right now probably like 18 pigs per liter. So that's a lot of pigs. And with that large litter, each pig is tiny and it's hard to survive in this system. So some heritage breed is better, mothering ability, and they have a smaller litter size but bigger pigs at birth. So a lot of farmers, I visit, if you look at my slide, all the farms I visited, you see they're not white pigs, they're colored pigs. And that's why they all have some her heritage pig genetics. See, our pigs, they are all they are modern pigs. You can see this one, that's our pigs. Um, but if you go to the commercial farms, you see they are very colorful. So definitely some, you see this, yeah. If the pigs, there's some heritage heritage genetics will be better. Berkshire is good because this farm I visited, they farrow 12 born live, they told me, and they said they can 10 to 12, and they can win 8 to 10, so which means about 20% of peak mortality. So this is Berkshire as well. And see, this is in Iowa. So a lot of, so yeah, I think not necessarily which genetics is better because I heard different stories, but some, not totally like the white, Landry, Yorkshire, that kind of thing probably is better. You do not want to have that large litter size. You want to, and also some heritage pigs, they are kind of stronger with kind of more solid legs to, run around, go to pasture.
Hey, we got a couple questions here too. Are there any good tropical feed substitutes for corn and soy that can be utilized here in Hawaii? I know we're always the limitation in land and for us to grow crops, I'm familiar with some producers growing sweet corn, but any other alternative?
You probably should answer that question for me, right? But I think, first of all, pigs eat everything, I should say. They're very kind of, so basically, as long as you meet the energy, protein, or amino acid requirement, you can feed them anything. So I really don't know what kind of crops you produce in Hawaii, but one orchard we visited, they want to uh, feed their pigs with apples. They expect 90% of the nutrients come from their apple for their pigs, and their pigs were so skinny just because, apple doesn't really provide the energy and the protein pigs need. So in our case, when we feed even 50, we replace 50% corn with rye. Rye has 95% energy as in corn, so its energy a little bit lower, more fiber compared to corn, and our pigs a little bit, lighter, although the p value is the same. So anything you can, you know, find is okay as long as, pigs eat. And then if the energy protein density is too low, you probably just need to feed them longer, keep them longer. So it's always, kind of trade off. So
Yeah,
I don't know
so
whether that's the answer. That's the
yeah, I
answer.
think we're always looking for alternative feed because as an island we import all the feed that our pigs needed, and some farmers are doing, cooking food waste, what it's called, and but in some cases it doesn't totally provide all the nutrient requirements for like fully grown and farrowing sows. So it's always good to learn about different alternatives to strategies. Another question, a very, very good question. Do the calculations of the profit of the organically pigs or your calculation includes labor cost? Labor,
No, that's a good question. That's really a good question. No, it's only include the feed bedding. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, especially, well, just in general, there's a shortage of labor in agriculture, and um, it's always, especially here in Hawaii, is a really high cost labor as well, too.
I should say the crop production part that include labor, but for pigs, no, we call it pig night return. We didn't. I didn't realize people really interested in that part. So for the crop production, we have a labor here, but for pig, no. We just feed bedding and the pigs, and then we get money from there.
Yeah, that's all the questions that I have on my end. Mele, did you have any other more questions?
And there's one more, just asking about any resource or information you have about KNF or the Korean natural farming and using that with your hog production.
No, I don't know what can I what no, I really don't. I don't. What is that? Could you ask? What is that?
I'm gonna ask, I don't know if Mike is still on.
Because I probably, when you're asking, I can talk a little bit about organic pasture and alternative.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the difference? So if you actually some farmers they produce a kind of organic pigs and they market themselves as organic, but it's not USDA certified. So the data I present to you and also the bedding cost or whatever is certified organic. Because for organic, we talk about certified organic. That's
Mm-hmm.
the USDA survey. It has to be certified by the certifier, third party, and they come to inspect you facility every year, and you have to pay. So that's why you know, we do not have that many organic pig farmers. If you only raise a few pigs, it doesn't worth to get certified, right? and a lot of work to keep, what you feed pigs, how do you treat pigs, and,
Mhm.
bedding, let's say, where you source it, kind of thing. So that's organic. Alternative, they use same facility, but it doesn't have to be, certified organic feed bedding, and you can also treat your pigs. So you can deworm them. You can treat with antibiotics. You can, it's still from your kind of animal welfare friendly
Mhm.
system. Pasture, that's another very loose defined term. There's no like, organic dairy cattle. They require you have to, you know, the organic cows has to be on pasture for,
Yeah.
120 days or whatever, right? To get 30% of the dry matter intake from the pasture during the grazing season or whatever. But for pasture pork, there's no, you don't know what that really means. You can
Mhm.
call your pigs organic pasture pork. So the only, clear definition is for organic pigs because there's, very strict standard you have to meet to get certified.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like KNF is going to be more of an alternative production method because I don't believe it's not something that's in the certified, with certified organic properties. So I don't know,
Right.
Mike Dupont, are you still on? He
Yeah,
might be able
yeah.
to add. Oh, there
Let
he
me
is.
ask Dr. Lee, have you ever visited one of these KNF piggeries?
No, so so where is that? What is that?
We're in 23 states and 28 countries across the world right now. We just
Oh,
finished building one in American Samoa to take over what was previously being done. There's one that was just built in the Philippines. But basically, it's a system that uses dry litter and microbes, and it causes the piggery to go odorless. And once the piggery goes odorless, that tells you that the piggery is actually working to its ultimate purpose of controlling parasites. And because we were taught a happy pig will never produce an odorless dung. So if you go into the pen and there's no odor in there, you got happy pigs. And since you're using microbes in the food, you will not have as many parasites. And since you're not stressed out, because that's how the pigs talk to you is through their manure. If I walk into a piggery and the piggery stinks, I guarantee you get something wrong the pig don't like in that farm.
actually, I don't know whether you visited a confinement facility versus alternative facility. You know,
Yeah.
it's
Okay, with Korean natural farming, it's usually for the small family farm.
right.
We're trying to convert some large producers on the mainland. And the way that I get them to try and try the system is to just build a small facility because that's how we started here in Hawaii. Because when we developed the program, we were dead in the water because everything that was being done on the mainland to control waste management, if we adopted it in Hawaii, since our farms are so small, we would not be able to pay our mortgage if we put it in the system. We would
Right,
come legal, but we couldn't pay our mortgage. Or if we don't adopt anything, we would get regulated out of business. So
right.
we were in a catch 22 for the swine industry. And until we got to see one of these Korean natural farming piggeries, which has been put in as a demonstration farm in Hawaii, and now it is the only type of piggery that you can get your permits for in the state of Hawaii. If you want to
Hmm,
build a brand new piggery in Hawaii, you got to do the Korean natural farming style to get away from the washed down piggery
hmm.
in the state. And, these 23 states that came to Hawaii, people are always dumbfounded when they come to Hawaii. Because I can tell you right now, when Kansas State came to Hawaii, and the county told him to go visit a piggery. And the professor got off the bus. And the first thing she said to me is, I can't believe the county sent me to a piggery. We got plenty of piggeries in, in Kansas and they all stink. And I looked at the lady and I thought to myself, okay, lady, I got you in my back pocket right now. Because she says, where's the piggery? I said, right there. And she was like 25 feet away from the piggery and she didn't know it. I pulled the shades back, 400 pigs running all over the place in the pens. And all the people that were on the bus, they were only supposed to stay there 15 minutes to just slight education. They stayed 2 hours inside the piggery asking all kinds of questions. Can this be adopted to chickens? Can this be adopted to sheep and goats? You know, it's something that once you get into one of these piggeries, you hooked. And you want to put one of these in, but the $64,000 question is just like how you answered it. Where are you going to get the bedding? Where are you going to get the feed? And that is the two questions that we are continually talking about in Hawaii. The university, the extension service, Mele, UN, and PRAM are the ones, or the university is the one that developed the KNF system. They're the ones are currently running it with it throughout the state and making sure people who wants to put in piggeries do it the right way. You know, the University of Hawaii right now is getting calls from all over the world. I getting calls from all over the world, and I've been retired for 5 years. And I asked them on the phone, how did you get my phone number? They said, oh my, your name's still all over the internet. So we just call a few people and people who have put them in, they'll call this guy in Hawaii.
Thank
So,
you.
so
That's
basically,
great.
Dr. Li, if you ever get to Hawaii, please hook up with Melly and hook up with UN and Pram so they can take you to one of these piggeries.
Sure.
Because they are, the piggery was our savior for the swine industry in Hawaii.
Sure. Look forward. Yeah. I've never been in
Yeah,
Hawaii.
yeah, definitely you gotta plan a visit
Sure.
to have you here.
Mhm.
I think we're really close in time, unless any other questions. I really appreciate Mike Dupont for sharing, what's happening here in Hawaii with their Korean natural farming piggeries. Um, but yeah, I don't have any questions, so I appreciate Dr. Yuzhi Li. It was a pleasure to meet you in the National Pork Board meeting last year,
Yeah.
and we've been like acquaintances there. Yeah, Mele, go ahead.
No, thank you again for joining us. I did put the link for our survey in the chat. So if you guys get a chance, please complete that evaluation for us. It really helps us to ensure these webinars and all the workshops we put together are useful for you. So thank you again, Dr. Lee, for taking time talking
Oh,
with me.
thank you very much. Thank you for
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you,
Thank you, everyone.
everyone.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Bye.